Welcome to edition 61 of All Killa No Filla podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn and Kiri Pritchard-McLean. Just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because we have mutual interest in serial killers. As long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing them in prison. I'm laughing because you were very tentatively moving a small Tupperware dish.
Yeah. Because weirdly, I put the little recorder down next to a Tupperware dish, and it was really annoying me. And then I was like, I've got to move this. And then I started doing it. I was like, what are you doing? She's recording this bit.
Do you want to move these birthday candles as well?
No, the birthday candles and my old smashed mobile phone can stay. And a hair grip that I don't know how to use. How do you use these splayed ones?
Oh, I think these are for sort of if you've got a chignon.
A bun?
Yeah, like a bun. I think they're for that kind of thing. They're not...
do you know who I think of when I think of clip-on bun? But you're glad you started listening now, aren't you, lads? Kim from Kim and Aggie.
Yes, but for some reason I think of Celine Dion.
Really?
And I don't know why.
She's smashing it recently. She got married very young, didn't she? And now he's dead, and now she's just, like, living like sort of an extravagant gay man would.
Well, the rumours are she may enjoy watching the Lionesses. That's the best way I can put that.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'd absolutely love for her to be a lesbian.
That's apparently, yeah. Oh, fair play to the girl, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Smashing it.
I love a good lesbian. I absolutely love them. Ellen's a great one. That's a bit of a hack choice, isn't it? Sarah Paulson I really like from American Horror Story, who will come up in this.
Do you know who my favourite is?
Who's your favourite lesbian?
Claire Balding.
Really? No, sturdy lesbian.
I think
home county's not
like
for me.
a butch Princess Diana. And I think she's gorgeous.
Really?
Genuinely, like... As a heterosexual woman, Claire Balding does
really
confuse me. Yeah.
Do you know who she looks like to me? Did you watch the Liberace film?
I've not seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, Matt Damon plays his boyfriend, and it just looks like Claire Balding to me.
I don't know. I think she's got something about her.
I think she's too posh that I find it quite disgusting.
There's just something about her. I don't know what it is.
Some swag.
Yeah, it's like she'd...
Cheltenham Ladies School swag.
It's like she's... I don't know. She'd...
It's quick of us to get onto lesbians here.
She'd tell you the meaning behind a poem and also tell you the best odds on a horse and have a fag. I don't know, there's just something about her. She's... Yeah. She'd open a jar really easily.
Yeah.
And I think I'd find that.
Oh, I think she can bench press a fair old amount.
I just think she's really...
In a low heel as well.
Oh, yeah, I think she's very... I think I really fancy her.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I think I've got a bit of a crush on Claire Balding, yeah. That's weird, isn't it? That's... I wouldn't have... I thought...
You've gone bright red.
I know, why? What's wrong there? Claire, if you are listening...
I hear Claire Balding...
I genuinely wouldn't know what to do. So please don't contact me.
I'd be baffled.
I'd be just confused. And useless, probably. But there we go, better crack on before I...
So, this is, what did you say, episode 61?
61.
I mean, we should pack it in by 65, shouldn't we?
69.
Do you reckon? 69, that's what we'll do. We'll call it a day at 69. So this is one of my top three, Delphine LaLaurie, who I'm just fascinated by. I think there's a lot of parallels with her and Elizabeth Bathory as well as we go through this.
They'd hang out.
They'd hang out if they weren't obviously centuries and countries apart.
And slightly made up, probably.
Yeah, and slightly made up.
Known as Mad Madame LaLaurie. Mad Madame Laurie. Remember Mad Madame Mim? From
no.
The Sword in the Stone.
Yeah. Something. Yeah, no, I do. A witch, basically.
Little witch woman, yeah.
Yeah.
She was alright.
Did you get weird feelings over her?
No, not over her, no. She's no Balding. She was born Marie... Not Mad Madam Mim, we're talking about Delphine now. Marie Delphine McCarthy, or MacArthur. Make your own mind up, whichever one you want.
Yeah.
On March 19, 1787, in New Orleans, Louisiana. She was known as Madame Blanc until her third marriage. She was married 3 times.
Yeah. She was one of 5, and she was like a socialite, so really rich, and was sort of praised for her beauty. I've seen pictures. Classic. Looks like a thumb with a wig on it.
It's old days beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
The old days. It's weird because you see paintings of guys in the old days, especially like the 1700s, and you're like, hello, mate. You're
My
right,
fella has the profile of the nose, definitely.
I remember years ago going to it. What museum was it? It might have been Natural History Museum or something. I can't remember which one it was. But there was a marble bust that looked exactly like him. And I remember, I think I might have sent it you or I sent it him, I can't remember. It was an absolute double of him.
He's got such a regal 1700s face.
I probably shouldn't say this because this is probably, you could find out a lot of my passwords from this. But I had a friend, or still I'm friends with this person and both of these people, and they had a brief dalliance. And I used to say, oh, he looks a bit like a marble bust of Lord Byron. And I used to refer to him, I used to say, what's his bollocks like? I bet they like to. We used to laugh about it. And I used to refer to him as all the time. So but what I'm trying to say is, if you want to hack my account, most of my passwords are a variation of with my date of birth. Which you'll never get. You'll never get my date of birth. Not the proper one anyway. But yeah, China balls, that was a...
You shouldn't put your passwords out on
I'll
here.
beep it out.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
No, but the joke is...
Let them work out what the joke is.
Oh yeah, that's fun. And then when we do the live shows, change your password and then you can tell people.
And then I'll tell people, yeah, do that.
Great. She was... so she's from a Creole family. Because they moved from Ireland over... Her dad's got the most amazing name. Her dad was Louis Bartholomew Chevalier de McCarthy, and they lived in Ireland. How many fucking... That is the most un-Irish name I've ever heard in my life.
Absolutely ridiculous.
But then I just think every Irish person is called, like, Patrick O'Guinness. So they lived in Ireland. He took them over to New Orleans, and they're part of a Creole family. I don't really know too much about Creole culture.
I don't really, to be honest.
But they were influential and they were rich over there because her cousin was the mayor of New Orleans from 1815 to 1820. So they immediately mixed with, like, high society. So her first marriage was on June the 11th, 1880 to Don Ramon de Lopez y Anguelo, which is, again...
I thought you were going to be sick then when you went...
I was just taking a run up into the last bit of the surname. And she was young when she married him, wasn't she?
Yeah,
14?
she was 14, yeah.
Which is rum.
It's insane. I mean, different times. But, I mean, you're probably dead by the time you're 24, so you may as well crack on back in the day. But, I mean, 14, if you think now, if you were still with the person that you were with at 14...
Fuck me.
It's embarrassing.
Abysmal taste. I'm trying to think of who it was. Yeah, no, I think it was Was I with him when I was 14? Whoever I was with, it wasn't a lineup of legends at that point.
No.
Like, it was pretty, they were idiots. What year are you in? Year 10?
14, no. 9?
Sats year.
Yeah, because you're
Absolutely
16,
classic.
you're 11.
Sats. Yeah. Oh my god, year 9. I was kissing some absolute fucking idiots.
I had a boyfriend for quite a couple of years at school. Got with me because I had an Oasis magazine, I know, at the ice cream van, because we had an ice cream van on the property. We used to drive in every dinner time.
Really?
Yeah.
That is rough.
Yeah, it wouldn't happen now.
No, Jamie Oliver fucking slashing the
It
tires.
wouldn't happen now. We used to go to the ice cream van, and he stole my Oasis magazine and ripped it. And I was like, oh, that's very hurtful. Why would this boy do this? Oh, he likes me, that's why he's done it. And I went out with him, first boyfriend for a couple of years.
Oh, that's cute.
I think
2
he's now,
years.
he's
Straight
now married
into, like...
with about 12 kids now.
Yeah, sounds it, yeah.
No.
My first proper boyfriend, I would say, was when I was like 15. And he was a couple of years older. And he was a wastrel. And is friends with, I think I've told this before, the comedian that smells of spunk.
Oh, God, yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still friends.
Yeah.
Blimey.
It's very weird. I've said this before, I'm sure, but it's very rare that my path crosses the comedian who smells of spunk. But when I do, he's like, hey, did you know my best friend is, let's say this guy's name is Tommy. Do you know my best friend is Tommy? And he says it with an air in his voice like, I know what you look like inside. And it makes me feel creepy.
Oh, God.
It makes me feel creeped on, not creepy. Yeah, and then I had a boyfriend when I was like, I don't know, fucking 16 to 18.
I mean,
Ended horrifically.
I had a couple of boyfriends on the run-up to my favourite ex-boyfriend. Because I had Tommy and a couple of people like that.
Fat Tommy.
Yeah, I always think they were... it's going to sound really awful. They were all practices for him because he was like my proper... the first person you're like, oh my God, I think you're the best person in the world ever.
Yeah.
Like, they were all a bit of a practice for him.
Yeah, definitely.
And then he, we didn't ruin anything. I think I learned a lot of things from him.
You do learn a lot from the bad ones, don't like gigs. You learn the most from the bad ones.
I mean, he wasn't bad. He was, but, you know.
Yeah, he was, mate.
After years have passed, you can still look back with fondness, can't you?
Yeah, that's rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, that's what that is, yeah.
I think we would have fallen out if we were friends then. I'd have been like, I'm done with you.
Yeah, I think it didn't make my life very easy.
Yeah.
But some cracking laughs. But yeah, I always look back on him with a great fondness.
I've noticed that, yeah.
Yeah. Pathetic,
Sure, I
really.
feel about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she was married to this guy.
Well, that was a lesson in Stockholm Syndrome.
So she married to this guy with a great name, but he dies not long afterwards.
On a boat.
On a boat, March 20th, 1804. Only been married 4 years.
I fucking hate to die on a boat.
Oh, it'd be shit, wouldn't it?
It's not just that, it's like, if you're on a boat and you're ill, you're a nuisance. If you're on a boat and you're dead, you're a nuisance.
I think it's anything that, you know, when you're sick, like, you know, if you're staying at a friend, I don't want to be hungover anywhere other than my house.
Oh.
Like, it can fuck up. You know, when you're staying over and you're like, I'm going to take my own life. I cannot be hungover here.
Oh, the worst is when you're hungover at someone else's house and then you know you've got a journey to get home and you're just like, I can't. You know, it always reminds me of that feeling. This doesn't sound really weird. It always reminds me of mushroom-flavoured cup of soups because it happened to me once when I was really young and my friend made me a mushroom cup of soup. I was like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
I drank it and I just associate that feeling and that thing with mushroom cup of soups.
God, that sounds awful.
Yeah, and I had my friends all lived really far away at the time. I say far away, it was like a tram and a bus. But when you're like 17,
that feels like years, doesn't it?
It's like, am I ever going to see my house again? This is awful.
I hate that.
This was pre-Uber.
You know what I would you know, with those days where you're really hungover and you're like, oh, it's going to take me 2 hours to get home. And you're just like, I would like some kind of, like an Uber, but they turn up and they knock you out with generalised anaesthetic. And then you wake up in your own bed. Oh. And like
with a
Netflix,
drip.
Yeah, with the drip. Yeah, oh god, that'd be lovely. Intravenous drip, and Netflix is up, and there's Deliveroo is up on the other page.
It's on its way.
It's on its way. They're like, I've taken the. I know you're vegan, but I saw hanging out your arse you were. So meat fish from Domino's is on your way, and don't worry, there is a stuffed crust.
Oh god,
I feel like someone should invent that.
Hangovers, genuinely. I mean, I'm talking from experience. Worse now than I've ever experienced in my life. Doesn't affect me getting up and doing whatever I'm meant to be doing. Like, I don't wallow in bed, but fuck me, I genuinely feel like I'm not in my own head. It's not like feeling ill.
Disassociation.
Or 100%. Like, I'm not within the day, and I'm not within. It's like I'm watching everything that's going on.
Oh god, I hate that when you're like watching yourself.
Yeah, you're just like, this is awful.
We need to crack on. Sorry, we're chatting shit. So he died on his near Havana. They were on a ship on their way to Madrid. Then she marries again 4 years later, which I think is a respectable gap, to her final husband.
Oh no! This is second.
Second husband. Sorry.
Jean Blanc. Who sounds like own brand jeans from Asda. Dad jeans.
Dad jeans.
He was a prominent banker.
He was loads of things. He was a banker, a lawyer, a merchant, a state legislator, and a political intriguer. And he was mates with pirates, which is quite cool.
Oh, me, I'm mates with a pirate.
But doesn't he sound like Billy Bullshitter?
Yeah, he does.
Or that sounds like a lesbian. Oh, she's a friend of the pirates.
Yeah, friend of the pirates, if you know what I mean.
But I remember there was someone sorry to get distracted again. There was someone in my uni. Have I told you about this? It was like we had to trace our families. And she was being all like, oh, my mum's side of the family, they were pirates. You had to come in and do some performance piece based on your heritage, basically. And she was like, oh, I can't wait, mine are pirates, so I'm going to do all the research this weekend. She came in and was very quiet about the pirate connection on Monday. And then I was like, what happened about these pirates, mate? And she was like, oh, I looked into it, they weren't pirates. I was like, what were they? And she was like, slave traders. So I was like, yeah, okay, that's it. No one's claiming that, are they? So he dies in 1816. So they're married for quite a long time, for 8 years. And then so she's left a load of...
Well, they have several children.
Oh, yeah. Was it 4?
Yeah, but several children with the names of 50 children. Marie-Louise Pauline, Louise-Marie Laurie, Marie-Louise Jeanne, Jeanne Pierre Pauline.
I mean, there's a lot of repeats in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
And weird that Pauline is getting such a strong showing.
It's very strange. I mean, I've not met a Pauline for years.
I had an ex whose mum was called Pauline. Lovely woman. But yeah, the name is not something you associate, certainly not with 1808.
No, it's not, is it? Sorry.
I'd say it's more like, I'm going to yawn now, like 1917.
Yeah, 1970s,
Yeah,
early
babies
80s,
born
yeah.
in the 70s, yeah.
So he died, as I say, in 1816. He died in a lot of debt, but he left land and slaves. Now, people say you shouldn't say slaves.
I think it's, what do we say? Is it enslaved people? People who are
Now,
enslaved?
I don't know what the correct term is, but you know when people say enslaved people, I have a bit of an issue with that. Because it kind of, in my mind, sounds like the person who's got them into slavery is slightly being pardoned. Do you know what I mean? It sounds like, to me, to say an enslaved person is like...
Oh, it's like quite passive.
It makes it sound like it's something they've decided to do.
Yeah.
I think sometimes for something so horrific, I think sometimes the term of slavery should be... But, I mean, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I think you say people who are enslaved, so you put the person first. So rather than an enslaved person, that's a person who's defined by the fact that they're enslaved. I think you say people who are enslaved. We were told, and I tried to search our Facebook messages and find it, and I couldn't find it. So apologies in advance, but I know what you mean, because
it kind of
slaves is kind of a horrible term, but like in a good, it's like a gut punch, isn't it?
And slavery is one of the worst things humans can do to another human being.
Still goes on, mate.
Yeah, it still goes on. It's fucking disgusting. It's just it's just a horrible, horrible thing. And and I think to say, like, you know, people who are enslaved.
It's like a choice, like it's a gap.
Yeah, it's like, excuse me, I've actually chosen to do this.
Yeah.
This is the life I chose. Nobody chooses that life.
No. So he dies in 1816 and leaves behind quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
And land.
Yeah.
Which she, but I think he leaves quite a lot of debt. So she settles all his debts and goes, right, what have we got here? And then starts to run his land and his assets, including people, and manages it fucking really well and starts to make loads of money.
Yeah, she becomes very rich in her own right as well. Now, everything's ticking along fine. She's got the kids and everything. And on the 3rd of June... Oh, no, the third husband, sorry, not the 3rd of June. I'd love to get to a stage where I mix up dates with husbands.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
Oh, no, that was number 4.
You must forget. If you've had, like, 4 husbands, you must forget.
I just don't know anyone's got the time to have that many husbands.
You just rattle through them.
Oh, I can't imagine anything worse. I mean, it's bad enough when you start a new relationship and you're like, oh, I've got to get to know you now, great, another person.
Well, you don't have to, or you could just be on your own.
Yeah, no, and you don't have to, but then you think, oh, I quite like you, and then everything's great, and then after a couple of months you're like, it's just normal again now, isn't it? I know it sounds awful, but it is,
I love
doesn't
the
it?
normal bit. Especially with someone lovely, it's really great.
I like the exciting bit.
Oh no, I love the domestic bliss bit.
No.
I'm like, oh, let's fast forward to picking paint colours and fire pits.
Oh no, I very much like the
chase.
Yeah, the build up.
I hate that.
And then
constant anxiety and tension.
Yeah, there's a bit of
turn around and say they
uncertainty.
don't like me.
Yeah, there's always that, isn't there? Mm. But I'm such an anxious person anyway that I would think that about everything. So, June 25th, 1825, Leonard Louis Nicholas LaLaurie. She meets him.
16 years younger.
Oh, wow.
Hey, what a player.
Blimey.
Good for her.
He was a physician.
They have a kid together.
Oh, do they have a kid as well?
Yeah, and shortly after their child is born, they decide that they are incompatible and just live apart.
Oh.
So it's more just like, yeah, we don't get on that well when we've had a kid. I mean, fucking preach if you know a couple like that. Sure, you can all reel off about 3 of those.
Are those couples that have really, really pushed, like, we're trying for a baby, we want a kid, and then they have the kid and they're like, this hasn't fixed anything, has it?
No. I'm not even going to get into that. It was too long a conversation about people having children because they're dissatisfied with another element of their life.
Never works.
Never works. You just make someone else miserable.
Usually me when I'm in the quiet coach on the train.
So their son was born in 1828. Now they go and live, or he sort of partially lives, on 1140 Royal Street, which is, she lived on 440 Royal Street before they met. So it's like this big part of New Orleans, rich part, this massive house that they buy. And they start developing it and doing work to it. And they have got lots and lots of people who are enslaved working for them. Now, there are rumours around town of cruelty towards her employees. Say employees, they're slaves.
Yeah, they're not really employees.
Yeah, and apparently a notable woman described her as people who are enslaved as singularly haggard and wretched. I hate the word wretched. I think it's horrible.
My granddad, when I'd be naughty, used to call me a little wretch.
So horrible.
You little wretch.
Because it sounds like stretch and wrong and I just don't like it. I think it's really visceral. So it got to be so bad, all these rumours, that there was a lawyer was called to hold an independent investigation into how she was treating the people who work for her. She was cleared of anything. She was found of no wrongdoing. And they were like, it was a really weird thing that people were like, there's all these rumours about her treating her staff really badly and being horrible to the slaves that she has. But you know what? When she speaks and they start trembling, she always calms them down. And it's like, well, she sounds like an absolute angel, lads.
She sounds delightful.
That's like my mum now. When everyone's like, oh, she's lovely. And I'm like, is she? Because you could just like shoot me a look at a party and I'd be like, oh, I pissed my pants.
And you know exactly.
Because my mum's a fucking psycho, yeah, and she's going to batter me.
Fucking
if you've been mouthing, you're like, I'm going to get hammered in the car.
Yeah, when you think, I know exactly what you mean, that sort of feeling of, oh shit.
Yeah.
Where
they grab you by the arm and go, you're showing off now.
Oh.
And you're like, oh no.
It's the worst thing anyone could say to you as a kid. Stop showing off.
Yeah. My brothers used to do it if I was doing anything. If their friends were over, because they were so much older than me, like 7 and 9 years older than me, that if I was doing anything, I'd be like getting a glass of water. They're like, are you showing off because our friends are here, Kiri? And I'd be like, no. And they're like, look at her, she's showing. Oh my God, I was so embarrassed.
Breathing because our friends are here.
It really was that level. I said, is it because you fancy Sean? Is that what you're doing? No, I don't fancy Sean. So mean.
It's proper brutal.
It is horrible.
Oh, it's just such a worse feeling. But it's also the kind of thing now that just you wouldn't give a shit about. You'd be like, fuck off. But then when you're young, you're like, oh.
I've told you about the Download Festival thing. My partner makes me tell this story whenever we're anywhere.
Did you tell it on the last? I don't think you did.
Yeah, I'm sure I have. About the shaving.
I think you've told me. I don't think you've mentioned it on here.
Well, I tell you what. Ask me at the live show if I haven't actually told it about when I go into Download and I go into house to get my razor, because I think I've told it. And it is one of the fucking meanest things that my brother's ever done.
That you've remembered all these years.
Yeah, it's 20 years later, I'm still carrying that with me.
Sorry, I was just yawning then. I wasn't having a stroke in case anyone might be concerned.
So these rumours still persisted. And then there's an incident at the house. So apparently a young girl is brushing Madame LaLaurie's flowing dark locks.
Apparently so, yeah.
And as she's doing it, she snags her hair. And she just flies into a rage.
Yeah.
There's this little girl, she's 8 years old.
Yeah. Is she at 12? I put 12.
Oh, it might be 12. I've not written a number down, so I just I thought it was 8.
So a little girl called Leah.
That's it.
She was so frightened, so Delphine doesn't take this too well. I mean, it does hurt when you do get your hair snagged, but chill out, babe. She grabs a bullwhip. I hate that. I hate the word whip. Like, whip, fine. Bullwhip.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to fucking hurt.
Yeah, it's going to... You can feel the sting now, can't you?
And she chased the girl. And the girl was seen running across the top of the building, wasn't she?
The
To
terrace,
try and get away from her. And she fell off the building.
Well, there's two versions of events that she did that. She was sort of herring up to the roof and then just fell off. But another one is she was so scared she ran straight out a window. Rather than deal with her, just straight out the window and fell to the courtyard below.
Bloody hell.
And then there's sort of rumours that she was buried at night by torchlight in a well in the courtyard that was filled in. Horrible,
yeah. But then there was another investigation by the lawyers after this, and they were found guilty of ill-treating the workers. Workers, there's not a good word to use. They had to forfeit 9 of the slaves that they had. They were taken away by the authorities, but a relative of Delphine went and bought them back.
Really?
Which is probably awful, because if they're being ill-treated, I mean...
Yeah.
Bit of respite, you're like, maybe I'll get somewhere a bit better. And then it's like the end of a horror film where you end up back where you started.
Yeah.
So there was all these rumours going around as well. Also, they said that she emancipated 2 of her slaves, though.
Yeah, because there are revisionists who are like, she was really great, she emancipated 2 of her slaves. But when you look back, like, one of them was just really old and you were expected to do that anyway because they were fucked.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't want to start, they're going to be sick now and they're going to be a liability.
And you're not going to look after them, are you?
Exactly. So it was like, let them go when they get to 60 and you've completely fucked them and their bodies. And another one was something to do with someone's marriage, I think. So they weren't ever altruistic reasons. They were like reasons that were beneficial to her or expected socially. Because everyone like indulged in slavery at that time, but it was frowned upon to treat these people badly. So it all kicks off April the 10th or 11th. At night on the 10th, we think, it's tipping into the 11th, in 1834, because there's a fire at this massive house, and the crowds start to gather.
So the police and the fire marshals turn up. Whenever anyone mentions fire marshal, I get that that's like the fire brigade in those days, but all it reminds me of is those cunts that you used to work with, who when the fire alarm went off used to take the high vis that they've been keeping all year in there, like...
Right, everybody, this isn't a drill!
Yeah. Get the fire, like a high vis vest with fire marshal on the back.
Yeah, with your whistle.
With your whistle,
neck. Fuck off.
I used to.
You don't get paid anymore for this, you fucking busybody.
Hated them. Although when I worked at a library, the fire alarm used to go off. I think over a 2-month period, it would go off about 3 times a week because bear in mind this was a rare books library and very intelligent academic staff couldn't fathom out that ramming a trolley full of books into a break glass thing. Genuinely 3 times a week until the fire brigade were like, we're going to start charging you for call-outs now. And then they finally learnt.
Jesus.
Fucking... It's so boring though, a fire alarm, innit?
Yeah.
The worst is a fire alarm just before home time.
Oh, yeah, when all your shit's in there.
I just want to go
when you,
home.
grab your bag and stuff.
You're like, right, see you tomorrow.
I was talking about this today at work, because last time we were writing on the last series, there was a fire alarm, and this really bad. We were writing in the building, and we were in just a little room. We could see everyone filing out, and there'd been another fire alarm earlier that day. Basically, it's the fashion pigs on the top floor who keep setting the toaster off, and it'd been so it's raining and we're having our lunch, and that's the only break we have all day. So we just hid from the fire marshal and just watched everyone queue outside. Ate our dinners, and then lo and behold, it was absolutely fine.
Oh. I mean, we don't condone that, may we say?
No, of course not. It's awful. We deserve to.
You deserve to
go down in flames for that. But when you just it'll be those fucking idiots again. But that's complacency that leads to death. So please ignore me. So I'll get that on t-shirts. So what had happened is the fire emanated from the kitchen. So the cook was chained to the stove as some form of punishment, and she was trying to commit suicide by starting a fire. There's one version of events, or she was trying to raise an alarm as to what was going on in the house. So this elderly woman, apparently she dreamt the night before that she'd escaped the house and she'd left it with flames licking up from it in her dreams. So they come in and they get the woman and they start to put the fire out, and then she was go to the... Well, again, there's 2 versions of events. One is that Madame Delphine LaLaurie was freaking out and was like, quick, help me, my furs are in there, my jewels are in there, my plates, help me get the valuables out.
Yeah, never mind the people.
And she's like, come on, gentlemen. And they were like, where are your servants? And she's like, never mind that, come follow me, gentlemen, I'll take you.
Who, what now?
Yeah, exactly. So she's sort of feigning, she's like, oh, never mind that. And then people are like, well, there must be people in there. And then this rumour spreads through the crowd, they're locked up. So they're like, get the keys. And a load of people storm into the house to try and rescue the people who are trapped in there. So that's one version of events as to how people were found. And the other one is that the cook is go to the room in the garret upstairs.
Oh, because they said the room at the top of the house, people went there and they never came back.
Yes.
That's what she said.
It was the rumour. So they went, they broke down the door of one room, and there was 2 elderly women with iron collars around their necks, ankles and wrists, and they're really weak, and they're dragging themselves out there with these chains and these big iron things on them.
God.
And then they go up to this garret, and then what they find in there is horrific. So it's quite hard to find what's accurate because the newspaper at the time said, listen, we can't cover this because it's beyond human decency. We can't be specific about what was seen in there. But they described, Delphine as a wretch, said she was to blame for it, and like publicly ridiculed her in the paper the next day.
Well, some of the stuff, like there was the woman that had been had her limbs broken and put in the position of a crab and things like that. And
so what the papers agree on is there was starved, quote, gaunt and wide-eyed slaves in there, and lots of them had collars on. So some of the reports were that the inside of the collars had spikes on them, so they had to like try and sleep standing up, and if they moved, a lot of them had wounds from leaning back or leaning forward on these collars. Apparently some of them had their mouths sewn shut as like to starve them as a punishment. Lots of them were crippled from the chains being so heavy that it meant that they couldn't really walk or move because they'd been like that for so long in this horrible little room. And then the three grossest ones is one woman apparently had her limbs broken and she was put into a cage, so she was cramped down, and her joints had fused, like her bones had regrown, so she was like a crab when she walked. Another woman had her arms and legs removed and strips of skin taken from her, so she looked like a caterpillar, is another thing.
They think it was her husband as well, don't they?
Well, there's rumours. There's also one that was. This is where it was directly relates to the husband. Is there was another one who'd had a rudimentary sex change, or an attempt at one. So there was like there's different schools of thought that she had nothing to do with it, and because when they were like, people were like, oh my god, and the mob's kicking off, and he was like, some people should learn to mind their business.
Oh yeah, that's what he said, isn't it? Yeah.
And he's like, some people, like, they're the ones who are out of order. Because so, like, the mob starts kicking off outside and be like, all these rumours spread really quickly about what people see.
Don't pretend to me you've never done this.
Yeah, and he's trying to kick them out of the house as fast as he can. So there's rumours that that it was him doing it, because he was a medic and he was sort of experimenting on them, and she was sort of letting it happen. There's also a school of thought that says, oh no, they wanted this stuff. You know, they were very sick people that she took care of, and a bit like Elizabeth Bathory, and be like, actually she was sort of like misguidedly trying to fix them, and it's like, that doesn't sound accurate with what they said. So over the course of this evening and the next day, this huge mob gathers outside, starts booing and hissing and basically threatening LaLaurie.
And then they start apparently demolished and destroyed the house.
But that's after they go, because what happens is she goes for a carriage ride once a day, so there's a fucking huge mob outside.
I'm still going.
She literally rocks up head to toe in finery, and everyone's like, the fucking balls on this. Because that's another reason why there are revisionists that say, no, she didn't do any of this, is because they were like, they hated a woman that rich and powerful. They just hated her. And so that's why there's two people in that house, and the husband's like, get out, it's nothing to do with you, but she's the one who got all the shit. So she steps out, looks amazing, steps into the carriage, and everyone's like open mouth because they're like fucking balls on her. And then what happens is immediately the carriage gallops away, and they're all like, oh shit, and start chasing it, but like they're going flat out. And so they lose this crowd behind them, and they go straight to the what's it called, the port, that's it, yeah. So they went to the because the crowd were following, and they were going, drag her out, and they were going, shoot her, shoot the horses. They were trying to get them to shoot the horses.
Yeah, kind of leave the horses alone. Like, don't be tight.
There's been enough suffering, hasn't there, mate?
Maybe just stop the horses.
Yeah,
you don't need to shoot them. Just halt them. That'd be nicer.
So the carriage reaches the Bayou St. John, and there's a schooner there. So she rocks up to the captain, gives him a handful of gold, and goes, I'm going where you're going. So it sails to Mandeville. And then she hides for 10 days in Covington, and then goes to New York, and then in 1835 she's in Paris. Mm-hmm. And apparently
there was a rumour, somebody said that she died in France in a boar hunting accident.
Yeah, in about the 1840s. Mm-hmm. But some say she never left. She never left and she used to write to her kids, and she was fucking indignant about her treatment. She's like, oh, they're not over it yet. And they're like, don't come back, everyone hates you. She's like, oh, that old thing. She was really sort of... And I guess if you're looking at it from the thing of she thought that she was carrying out medical practice to help, that makes sense. But also if you're an arrogant psychopath, that also makes sense.
In the late 1930s, though, a man called Eugene Bax, who was a sexton at St. Louis Cemetery. I know I shouldn't laugh at the word sexton. It's a job title, and it's not funny, but it says sex in it, and it is slightly funny. He was in the cemetery, and he found a copper plate that said Madame LaLaurie, you know the cunt's name, born Madame Delphine MacArthur, died in Paris, December 7th, 1842, at the age of 62.
Yes.
So, the thing is, though, she died in Paris. Are they really going to drag her corpse all the way back there?
Well, apparently, yeah, they exhumed it in 1951.
Oh, wow.
And took it back to New Orleans. But there's loads of, like, no one can settle on what happens to her body, where she dies, and where it ends up. There's all sorts of rumours.
Just the transportation idea of that.
Yeah.
That's gross, isn't it?
In a giant jiffy bag.
Oh my god, it's so fucking disgusting. In those days.
So all the family fled, obviously, because they're like... And then everyone just looted the house. Which is such a... Like, obviously it's not...
I love a mob. This is an outrage. Oh, Nike Max.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it?
It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this. Oh,
do you remember when you had the riots?
Oh god, yeah, because they started in London because of the murder of
Duggan.
Mark Duggan.
Yeah,
was he called? And then it just sort of escalated, and then it happened in Manchester, and it was just insane.
Yeah, so international people listening might not know about this, but in 2013...
Yeah, I think it's 13.
There were huge riots up and down the UK in big cities, so like Manchester had one.
Birmingham, I think.
Birmingham. Yeah.
London.
And London. Started in London because there was like a black kid, right?
Yeah.
He was killed, and was it police?
Yeah, policeman. I think, well, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they thought he had a gun and he went down to move something and they thought he was going for a gun, and then they just...
So, rightly so, there was kind of like an outrage, but it really seemed to catch a thing, like a current as well, of like just a load of really dispossessed, is that the right word?
Yeah.
Disenfranchised, sorry.
Yeah, but then also a bunch of cunts who were just like bandwagon jumping and going, I'm just going to do this.
Loads of people who are disenfranchised, but also like the kind of cunt who is happy to smash stuff up and go, because they're like, we're doing this because we're, like, we've been left behind, and it's like, why are you going to Foot Locker?
Yeah, exactly. You just want to smash a window and get a pair of trainers. Yeah. But that's fine, do what you will. Yeah. Right? But yeah, it was really bad.
And do you remember Waterstones put that really snarky sign on? It was we are not closing because we'd be happy for you to break in and read some books. It would probably do you some good. And it's like, you're not coming over any better than them right now.
Yeah, exactly. You're making it worse.
Yeah.
In fact, when I saw that, I wanted to burn Waterstones to the ground. And everyone in it. I wanted to do a Delphine on them. Honest to God. Awful. So snooty, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was a really weird thing, because I remember it being like, I was living in Manchester when it was happening, and it was just like, how far out are they going to come, and just like not knowing if you were gonna if someone's going to loot your house. Yeah, it was very weird, very intense. But obviously London had it way worse. There was fires and like blazing for ages. It was a weird time, that, wasn't it? Very strange. And it was all organised on BlackBerry Messenger.
Oh, God.
And because I remember there was a huge crackdown, and they were like,
BBM?
We need to get into people's BlackBerry, and everyone's like, no, that's obviously a massive invasion of privacy. And they're like, we could have stopped this happening. And it's like, I reckon just don't tell people all the things that they deserve to have, and then not give anyone it's like, if you had social mobility, they wouldn't smash windows for trainers.
Did they still make BlackBerries? I used to have one, and I fucking loved it.
People really are into them, aren't they?
I loved it.
I think
it got nicked.
Really?
Yeah, someone nicked it.
I thought they were mad because it's like a full computer.
Fucking loved them, mate. Like
tiny buttons.
Typing and stuff. Oh, yeah, I loved it. I'd have another one.
Really?
I don't know if they still make them, but yeah, I'd definitely have another.
No, I know that there were, they were sort of the only people to rival iPhone, weren't they?
Yeah, they were great.
It was either a BlackBerry or an iPhone. Do you iMessage? No, BBM.
BBM. I never used the Messenger though.
Really?
No, it wasn't that. In fact, a BlackBerry was my first actual proper phone. I used to have like a shit sort of Nokia whatever for fucking years.
Really?
Yeah.
One of those hipsters.
I was on those cunts, yeah.
So the building, so the house gets looted, and it's basically just the walls left. And then everyone thinks it's haunted because they think they can hear like wailing and moaning coming from there. years later, the house is to be renovated. They pull up the floorboards in the kitchen and they find, there's rumours that they were found like 75 bodies under there. So the wailing and moaning was actually people she had bought and then hidden under these floorboards, and they were shouting to be let out, and everyone was just like, oh, it's a ghost, and crossed the road. No one would walk on the same side of the road as it, which is like another horrific layer to all this.
I think a lot of it is folklore.
I'd say a bit. Well, the building's still there.
Yeah,
She existed. They owned it. Still there on Royal Street. In fact, in 2007, Nicolas Cage bought it. Everyone's favourite, chronically mentally ill actor.
Mad.
And it's hard to pick a favourite because there are a lot.
So he bought it and then
3.45 million.
I don't think he did anything with it, did it?
No, he was genuinely addicted to buying castles.
He just
for a bit.
wanted it.
He bought that one that's near Bristol and stuff. Absolute crackers. And then it's been loads of things. It was a tenement for a while. It was a refuge. It was a bar. It was a retail store. Yeah, it was a school. And then, it was sold. I think he went into administration, didn't he? He went bankrupt. They sold a load of his properties. And the story of Madame Delphine LaLaurie is covered in, that was my stomach, in just a little bonus there for the Patreon subscribers. It was mentioned in American Horror Story. There's a whole season where she appears in it because it's set in New Orleans and it's about witchcraft.
Is it Kathy Bates?
Kathy Bates, yeah, who plays... Is it the witchcraft one? I think so, yeah. The third one. And, Kathy Bates plays her, and there's some weird stuff in it with a cow head. And then there's also... What is her name? Madame... She was like Haitian...
I know what you mean.
God, what's her name?
Oh, it's going to really bug me that. I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
I'm going to give it a mild Google because it'll come up and I'll be really irritated if I can't remember.
And now when you'll say it, we're both like, that's the one.
So in in American Horror Story, they know each other very well. Marie Laveau, who was like, they were both like very powerful women in the area, and in American Horror Story they have a rivalry and a relationship, but like in actual fact they probably wouldn't have actually mixed at all.
I love it how that the rivalry has to be over a man again.
Is there? I don't know if it is over oh no, maybe it is over a man actually, but yeah, it feels like
Could
that.
they have rivalry over something else for a change?
Yeah, I think it might have been over that, and one of them being racist. Do you watch American Horror Story?
I've seen some of it, yeah.
It's got
I
loads
of
of
it
nods.
very quickly though.
Yeah, it's
very quickly.
I find it quite entertaining. There's loads of nods to serial killers in it. So one of them is set in a hotel that is basically based on H.H. Holmes's Murder Castle. There's an episode in it where all these like dead people come back to life, and serial killers are sort of sat around chatting. Hotel Cecil it's based on, and there's a character that's based on H.H. Holmes. So it's a mixture of Hotel Cecil and the Murder Castle. Eileen Wuornos is in it. Not in it, but you know, the great cameo.
Makes a great
real
appearance,
strong, yeah. And Ed Kemper and I think John Wayne Gacy. They're all sort of sat around having dinner one night. Who else is in it? There's someone who there's a character that reoccurs in it that's based on John Wayne Gacy, a killer clown guy. That's actually very scary, very very scary. So there's lots of serial killer references. If you know your stuff, you'll see people that you recognise. But I think it's also quite... I like the way it looks, but I think it was also quite aggressively naff in places.
Yeah, I just got tired of it quite quickly, and like... the thing is with me, I find it really hard to concentrate on something.
So I think it can be on in the background, you don't need to stay with it much.
I just find it quite... I can't sit down and go, right, I'm going to watch this. I have to be in a cinema if I
really?
have to. Yeah, if I have to watch something, my attention span is appalling. It's like
bad?
Yeah, it's really bad. It's something I'm trying to like work on. But it's just in general as well, like I'll go, I want to do this today. I'm bored of it now, I'm going to do that instead. I can't. I have a real trouble focusing.
Phones that eroding our...
Well, that's what I started doing, leaving it in a different room. So it doesn't distract me.
Does that work?
Yeah, it's sort of. But then I get stressed very easily, as you know. And I get stressed that something's happened and I don't know about it. You know, like I think all the time I do it, something bad will happen.
Is there a thing that you can put on your phone where it only makes a noise if certain people message? Because I would want that. Like, only ring if my dad is calling.
You can mute certain callers, yeah.
Well, I would mute everyone except for like, because I'm like, I want to know if my dad's dead. But
Well, your dad's not going to ring you then, is he?
Yeah, but probably. That's just my luck. Do you know the one thing I really like about American Horror Story is Jessica Lange, who I think is absolutely amazing. Sarah Paulson's in this, and she's in it. Yeah, but there's some pretty unforgivable stuff in it. So there's some like great series. There's one in Asylum I really like, but there's one that's in a what's it called? A circus. It's called Freak Show, I think. And she's sort of like the doyenne of the circus, and for no real reason, she's got a German accent, and she's sort of like Marlene Dietrich kind of inspired. And again, for no reason, she covers a David Bowie song.
Life on Mars, is it?
Life on Mars, but in the worst, it's a god of a love affair. Oh, it's really bad with a really strong cod German accent.
And what's happening? Is it like a montage of different things going on?
It's sort of like a beautiful sequence. Like, it looks great, and she's sort of, she's dressed inspired by Bowie, but also like 1930s Berlin. It's mad. It's absolutely mad, and I don't know. I think it's quite camp, but in a kind of slick gothy way. Lady Gaga's in it a lot.
Oh yeah, she's in it.
She's in the hotel one, yeah. She's not as bad an actor as you think she's going to be.
Well, she won loads of prizes for that Star is Born.
She won a lot of prizes for that.
She won a lot of prizes, fair play to her. She really did win some prizes.
That's such a
funny... won a prize for that.
Way to talk about the Oscars.
Did she win an Oscar?
I don't know, I'm just throwing
She won a big prize.
Yeah, well, she performed it, didn't she? And everyone was like, they're boning. Apparently they were at Glastonbury together this weekend. Ooh.
He is so dull.
I used to think he was really fit, and I've really gone off him.
I think he's so unsexy. He just does nothing, like, for me. Like the way Beckham doesn't.
Oh no, David Beckham.
I just look at him and I'm like, no, thank you. I just wouldn't.
Really?
No.
I quite like that, but I think anyone who's blonde, I'm like, boo. That's probably racist, isn't it? Oh God, we've just gone on for ages about fuck all. So, thank you very much to everyone who's been to the live shows.
Yeah, thank you. Really
Birmingham and London,
it.
we had an absolute blast.
We're excellent.
Looking into Ireland as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Still some tickets left for Edinburgh, one-off special in a massive venue.
24th of August.
24th of August, 29th of September. Some left for Leeds. And then that's it. That's it. Christmas is sold out. Thanks very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot wait.
We're looking forward to them.
I think we know who we're going to... Well, I think we might do a 3-parter recorded one over Christmas.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good shout.
I think we might do Jimmy Savile for Christmas.
I think so. I think that'd be a good live show.
Yeah. But it's going to be dark, though.
Yeah, a bit fucking dark.
Bit fucking dark.
But it's Christmas, innit?
Christmas. If you can't be dark at Christmas, when can you be dark? Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to everyone who donates to the Patreon as well. It makes a massive difference to helping us basically deal with the live side of stuff and everything else in our lives. That was Delphine LaLaurie.
Thank you very much.